Some questions work like a key. They do not open every door, only the one already waiting inside you. Whom do I resemble? A simple question, and yet anyone who hears it feels that every answer will fall short. In saying 13 of the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus turns to his disciples and asks, "Compare me. Tell me whom I resemble." Simon Peter answered, "You are like a righteous angel." Matthew said, "You are like a wise man." But Thomas replied, "Master, my mouth cannot possibly say whom you resemble." Jesus said to him, "I am not your master. Because you have drunk, you have become intoxicated with the living spring I have poured out." Then he took him aside and spoke 3 words to him. When Thomas returned, the others asked him, "What did Jesus say to you?" Thomas replied, "If I tell you even one of the words, you will pick up stones and throw them at me, and fire will burst forth from the stones and consume you." The text never reveals what Thomas heard. All we know is this: they were 3 words, and this moment belongs to the 13th saying. 2 numbers that have always carried symbolic weight. The 3, a sign of unity within relation, and the 13, a number of crossing over. In many traditions, 12 means completeness, 12 tribes, 12 gates, 12 months. But the 13 steps beyond that circle, like a path leaving behind order and opening into the realm of the unknown. In this video on saying 13 of the Gospel of Thomas, we follow this encounter between Jesus and Thomas and the hidden mystery of the 3 words, where origin, path, and fulfillment lie concealed. Three men face the same question, and yet each one hears it in a completely different way. Whom do I resemble? It sounds like an invitation, but in truth, it is a test. The answer does not reveal who Jesus is. It reveals how the one who answers sees him. Simon Peter speaks first. "You are like a righteous angel," a vision of purity and moral perfection. Yet it remains in the heavens, distant from the earth, distant from one's own heart. Matthew sees him as a sage, a thinker, a teacher, a man of words and knowledge. But even this remains at a distance. It admires without ever touching. Thomas, however, does not remain silent out of ignorance, but because he feels that words are not enough. "My mouth cannot possibly say whom you resemble." This is more than a statement. It is a posture of the soul. The late medieval mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "The eye with which I see God is the same eye with which God sees me." Such knowing cannot be described, because it unites the one who knows with the one who is known. Perhaps it was precisely this silence that moved Jesus to take him aside. For the one who does not rush to speak can hear when the unspeakable calls. It is like a rare melody. The one who always speaks hears only the sound of his own voice. But the one who grows still may begin to hear the tone that carries all things. The first words Jesus speaks to Thomas are startling, perhaps even wounding. "I am not your master." It is not a rejection, but a release. A true teacher does not bind his students to himself. He does not want them to remain dependent on him. He wants them to drink from their own source. Gregory of Nyssa once wrote, "The true guide does not compel the soul, but awakens its longing for God." A true teacher does not bind. He frees the student to follow the inner source. And that is exactly what had happened. Because you have drunk, you have become intoxicated from the living spring I've poured out. The image is ancient. Water as a symbol of knowledge, not the stagnant water of a well, but a living spring, clear, fresh, unstoppable. Whoever drinks from this spring takes something into themselves that can never be lost. Like a traveler in the desert who has once tasted pure spring water. Nothing else will ever satisfy again. It is the moment when the student is no longer a student. Not because he leaves the teacher behind, but because he now lives in what the teacher had always pointed to. Three words, not two, not four, exactly three. It may sound like coincidence, but in the language of symbols, nothing is ever by chance. The three is more than a number. It is the first relationship that endures beyond duality. With 3 points, a triangle emerges, the smallest stable form in geometry. Pythagoras called the three that which gives form to all number. In music, it is the triad that makes harmony possible. 2 tones form only a line, but the third adds depth. In the language of the spirit, the three is origin in relationship, the source, the movement, the fruit. Or as the ancient traditions say, beginning, middle, completion. From this three grows the 6, unfolding, work, and testing, like the 6 directions of space that stretch life into every dimension. And from the 6 comes the 9, the harvest, the return, the completion at a higher level. 9 is not merely the end, it is the circle made larger. Nikola Tesla is believed to have said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Some have seen in the pattern of 3, 6, 9 precisely this key, not as mathematics, but as a path to recognize, to live, to return home. Perhaps the 3 words that Jesus gave to Thomas were not an ordinary sentence, but 3 gates that had to be passed through one by one. And whoever sees these gates sees the whole path in a single moment. Origin, probation, fulfillment. Perhaps these 3 words were more than personal advice. Perhaps they were a key, a code that from ancient times has been seen as a path to knowing God. 3. The origin. In the language of symbols, source, relation, fruit, spirit, soul, body. It is the moment when unity recognizes itself without losing itself. 6. The testing. The doubled three, origin unfolded. 6 directions carry our lives. Above and below, before and behind, left and right. In the traditions of the sacred scriptures, in Torah, Bible, and Qur'an, creation unfolds in 6 days, an ordered space where what has begun is tested to see if it can endure. 6 is the field of labor, the golden path of probation, where we learn whether we can remain faithful to the origin. And 9, the completion, the harvest, the return, the ripening. 9 months a mother carries her child. 9 fruits of the Spirit are named by the Apostle Paul. In arithmetic, 9 is the still point. All multiples return to it. Every sum leads back to it. 9 is the circle, greater than at the beginning, yet with the same center. Even in the patterns of numbers, 3, 6, and 9 seem to walk their own path. 3 and 6 move back and forth like breaths, while 9 remains the quiet gathering point, the place to which all things tend. Perhaps Jesus did not simply speak 3 words to Thomas, but placed these 3 steps into his heart, to recognize the origin, to endure the probation, to receive the completion. If these 3 words truly held the key, then not as a formula, but as an inner resonance, audible only in silence, when the heart is ready to move from origin, through probation, into fulfillment. If I tell you even one of the words, "So begins Thomas," and the sentence ends with a warning that sounds like a riddle, you would pick up stones and throw them at me, and fire would come forth from the stones and burn you. This is not mere fear of violence. It is the image of a truth that, entrusted to the wrong heart, turns into a weapon against the messenger. Stones, symbols of what is hard and unmoving, of the heart that refuses to be shaped. And when such a heart is touched by the fire of knowledge, it does not soften, it shatters. Fire in all traditions carries 2 meanings. It warms, enlightens, and purifies. But it can also destroy whatever is not prepared. The Church Father Origen once wrote, "The same fire that purifies the gold consumes the wood. So it is with truth. For the one who is open, it becomes light and warmth. For the one who is closed, it becomes destruction." Perhaps this was the reason the 3 words had to remain unspoken. Not out of secrecy, but out of responsibility. For there are gates that can only be opened when the heart is strong enough to bear the light that waits beyond them. Perhaps it is no coincidence that this is the 13th saying, a step beyond order, into something that can no longer be contained in numbers or rules. And yet, at the center remains the 3: origin, probation, completion. 3 gates, all leading back to one source. Thomas saw them and passed through them, not with his feet, but with his heart. The 3 words he heard remain hidden from us. And perhaps it is better that way. For there are truths that only come alive when they are received directly, not from another's mouth, but from one's own being. It is said, "Whoever drinks from this spring will never thirst again." And whoever has once heard the sound of these words carries it within forever, even if no one else ever hears it. Perhaps this is the true initiation. Not that a secret is handed to you, but that you yourself become the keeper of it. Thus, the path beyond the veil is not finished. It has only just begun.